Derevyanchenko. That was Derevyanchenko. That was Jamal Charlo versus Derevyanchenko.
Yep.
And then obviously Jamal Charlo versus Rosario. And look what Jamal did to Rosario. Like, Rosario is world class. Rosario is tough. Rosario is come forward. He can box. He can move. He can stick. And that was a close. Like, I had Charlo out in front, and then Rosario come into it, and then all of a sudden, bang!
That was
Jamal out the game. And I think Jamal will do the same to Castano.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I think you'll sleep Castano.
For sure. And
he's a beast.
Big time beast. And
when he fought Tony Harrison the first time, he didn't lose that fight. I was pissed off about that. They fucked that up. But that's okay. That made Jamal that was the best thing that ever happened to Mel. You know why? Because they fucking robbed him.
Yep.
And then he got to feel how it is. And now he knows how to end him. And he's not letting that happen. Because I know Derek James, if this fight gets close against Castano, Derek James has got to whisper something in his ear like, they'll do it to us. They'll do it to us. So you got to handle your business. And like what he did after that fight against Tony, like, he had a couple of other fights, and then he come back against Tony. He stuck Tony hard, bro. Tony didn't want to be there. Tony wanted to be there at certain stages of the fight, but when there was a fight, Tony didn't want to be there, bro. He wanted to get the out of there. And the same thing with fucking Rosario. Rosario wanted to be there. He got fucking dropped by a body shot, went straight through the back of his spleen. He was yelping like a crybaby, like I would have been. I would have been in the fucking stretcher out the gate, but he was in a bad way. And Castano's going to be the same way. I can't wait for Jamal to give Castano a towel up. And then I get asked this a lot, Carlos. What does Jamal Charlo do next? Jamal Charlo's beaten everyone at 54 now. Charlo, go and do big prize fights, bro. Earn your money. $15, $20 million fights, you know what I mean? If you have to move up or whatever you do, because if Spence wants to go to 54 with Derek, whatever, I want to see Jamal do big prize fights. He deserves it. And so is Jamal. Jamal's next big fight after Montiel, I'd like to see, is against Canelo.
Yes.
And if he Canelo do the same, you'd have to rematch him, but do the same.
For sure. And almost forgot, you got Teofimo and your boy.
Oh.
And at the end of the day, how do you see that fight going?
I see that fight not like what the Americans think. A lot of people think George is going to get roughened up early in the fight. I don't see that. I see George being right there with him. The pace is going to be unbelievable early in that fight. That first 2-3 rounds could be some of the quickest, fastest boxing that you've probably seen. Probably since Mayweather and the guys, Gervonta and those guys, when they fought at that weight, it's a little bit more slowed down. This will be very quick because Teofimo is going to come at George. So therefore, George is going to have to be very quick. He's going to have to move out of the way. He's going to have to counter. He's going to have to slip, roll, be on point because Teofimo's got power, man. Now, George has got power too, but I can't admit I haven't seen the power that Teofimo's got. But George has got boxing IQ. George has got endurance. George has got stamina. So that's going to be an absolute cracker of the fight. And I got to back George, bro. I got to go with George because George and his father, personally, they're very good friends of mine and his team. George is, mate, me and George, we have conversations sometime on the phone and we talk about a whole lot of other shit. And George is doing right now what no other fighter's ever done in this country. And that just in itself just gets me like, fuck, man. Like, I get goosebumps now thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, for us, he's our king. He's our, he's the fucking, the King Don, bro. Like, he's on a whole different level, you know what I mean? And doesn't get the props that he should down here. But you know what I say to him sometimes? Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? The people who know boxing and the people that, cover it for the biggest channels in the world and that sort of stuff. They know, bro, who you are. And that's going to be a bull terror fight. But the thing is, I look at that fight in stages, and if that fight can get to round 5 and 6, which I think it can, I think George will beat him. I think George is boxing will be too good. I think he'll frustrate. I think George is in his head too.
Yeah.
I really do. I think George is in Cambosis is in Lopez's head. I guarantee you, I think he is. I don't know what he's done, what's been happening on the side over there, but from what I've seen, when they did that last thing, he was in his head. George is so much better with the media than Tiafoe too.
Just that
4 years,
really,
27 versus 3.
it really set him off, and it set his set Lopez's his dad off, and it's gonna be crazy. I wish it was on a different network, but trailers coming up, and let's see what fights they get now. They're getting a showcase to both these talents, and I'm excited to see it.
Mate, it will be an absolute cracker June 19th from Miami, so at Depot Stadium. But yeah, that fight will be a very, if I could use one word, fast.
There's gonna be so many big fights that day. It's
you got big ones.
Huh?
Oh, you got 3 big fights on the same day.
No, it's so wild. That's why I'm like, I go to Houston for the Charlo fight, or I stay home and I put them all on the TV and I watch them all.
Dylan, I'd be putting them all on the TV.
Huh?
I'd be putting them all on the TV.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, it's so close. Houston's like down the street, and I'm like, yeah, the Charlo fight, but I really want to see him versus Canelo. That's the one that I really want to be there to see it. And it's just gonna be crazy. But shoot. I appreciate your time you gave me. It's been one hell of an interview. I'm gonna break this interview down into parts, and
no problem.
It's gonna be so dope, man. I appreciate your time, and
no worries, brother. You take care.
Let my subscribers know, where they can find you at social media wise, YouTube, podcast, and let them follow you.
Bro, for sure. So we're at Nunanboy Promotions. So that's NUNANBOY_promotions. And then our podcast out here is Against the Ropes Podcast, which is the #1 boxing podcast in Australia. We didn't do as many episodes lately as what we did last year. We smashed out 43 in 1 year, bro. So that's where you'll find us. And make sure you always follow, subscribe. We don't have a YouTube channel. We're not that silly. But follow. YouTube's not a very big thing in Australia. But if you're going to subscribe to any YouTube channel, you got to subscribe to Fight Hype. Fight Hype, follow, like, tick, subscribe to Fight Hype, and follow Fight Hype on Instagram because Fight Hype, the best channel that cover boxing in the world. So they're #1, and that's why we are not there. I'm part of the family. That's why we're at a billion views. You know what I mean? We're the first channel to ever crack 1 billion views on YouTube. Obviously Facebook, obviously and Instagram, and obviously many other facets that we have with our Fight Hype channel. So that all comes back to the great work that Ben Thompson does. And, you got Ron and Sean and, Rainbow, myself, Rami, there's so many components to the Fight Hype channel. And we work pretty hard, and we cover a lot of fights all over the world and do a lot of behind the scenes sort of stuff. So, and make sure you follow Mayweather Sports too. Mayweather Sports, the best fight apparel in the world. So Mayweather Sports on Instagram and Mayweather Sports on Facebook, and order online. So that's where you'll find me, Carlos.
Hell yeah. I appreciate it again.
Or you'll follow the closer on Mayweather Sports.
Amen to that. And, we've heard it from my boy, all the way in Australia, always doing big things, and look out for them. All the links will be in the description down below. And I appreciate y'all coming back for another interview, and and many more to come. I got so many big things are popping off. 86 subscribers as we speak. And as soon as I hit 100 subscribers, going to be dropping the merch, and many, many, many things that I can't say on this YouTube yet, but they're popping off. And remember that Carlito, one love, TBE all the way. Remember that.
TBE.
All day.
All the way. Are we going out tonight? All the way. I'ma chug the bottle, chug it all the way.